I got the trophy for accidentally disobeying to kill this person, and
Oh,
uh,
I did that instantly. I did that before they asked me to.
hello and welcome to another Dead Pixel. We're a podcast about video games, anime, entertainment, life, a little bit of everything in between. I'm your host, as always, Joe, and with me, the gentleman who says he can take anyone in a UFC cage fight, Nick. How you doing, Nick?
Doing good. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of there's a lot of people who think they can take me in a UFC cage fight. Um, but I think that really any weight class too. It's smaller weight classes. I'm just bigger and stronger, and the bigger weight classes. I mean, like I'm like greased lightning out there. Um, and I can just eat I can just eat more fudge than really anybody that I've ever met. So I think in a cage with me mano a mano with a big plate of fudge, I'm gonna come out the winner. So I don't really see how anybody can beat me.
I expect you to be going to the White House for that that proposal for the UFC fight on the White House lawn. So good luck on that. Uh,
I didn't hear about that one. Or did I? I don't remember. There's something
it,
new every
funny
week.
thing is, I could be making stuff up, and you'd be like, you know what, that sounds about right.
You
And
could.
that's kind of
You
what we live
could.
in. I mean, it's like, yeah, did you hear Tesla AI called itself Mecha Hitler? Yeah, that sounds about right. It's just like it's wild times. It's just so we just take everything as face value because you know what, it's probably right. I mean,
I
as sad
mean,
as it is.
Trump is building that. He wants to build what, a banquet hall or whatever. So I was like, okay, well, he already wants to build a banquet hall. He might want to have a cage match. I mean, he might want to have a cage match. He went to the John Jones fight that happened, I don't know, a year, 6 months ago, whatever it was. Um, it must have been before, because it was before he was president, or maybe it was after. I think it was after November, but before he started his term. Anyway, I would believe anything at this point.
Supposed to be the Fourth of July match next year. So, proposed that it's on at the White House.
Okay.
So, yep. Start training now. Get good. We'll all root for you. Uh, medical bills are covered. So,
Yeah, I'd probably
all right.
lose all my insurance.
Well, we have. I say it's a little light on the news today, but we'll just jump into what we've been playing. We actually got to play something that we both been interested in. So I'll let you kick us off.
So we've been playing a little game called Mafia: The Old Country. So, Joe, you had told me about your love of Mafia, the series. These are games that I had never played, though I had always heard that they were good. So we heard this one was coming out, and I decided to go ahead and get it so that we can kind of play it together a little bit. And yeah, so we're actually pretty close to the same point in the game. I'm maybe like an hour ahead, but yeah. So this is kind of just going to be a little bit about my early thoughts on the game. Um, you know, I think that this game is pretty good. I think that the worst things that I can say about it is that the gameplay um, is a lot of stuff that I have seen before, and it's a lot of kind of just like it's there's not a ton of like brand new stuff, but I will say that everything that is there in terms of gameplay that I've seen so far has been uh, technically done correctly. It's like there's not really any jank to speak of that I've seen. There's tiny little things, but I mean, I was literally playing it like day one and day two, so that there wasn't like hardly like anything that was really bad. Um, and and I mean the game is like a lot of games now is very pretty to look at. The graphics are awesome, um, and the thing that I think that this game that I noticed this game has going for it most of all immediately is the story is really good, but more specifically than that, I think it's the characters are all pretty excellent. I really like the main character. I think he's a little bit he's a little bit of a pair of trousers. He's you know, but not the way that a lot of other characters are in games. Like he doesn't say a lot, but what he does say is good. He's not annoying and he doesn't like overstep or anything like that. All of the characters, like all of the side characters, surrounding characters, are really good. They play their role like really well. Um, I think that the you know the Godfather type character, the the Don, is great. I think he has like the most presence that I've seen of a video game character in a long time. I'm trying to think of another example. I can't really think of one right now. He's like just you can just tell that actor is really good. And then like the responsible son, I think that's who I'm thinking of, is really great. And then like the more loose cannon son is also really good for different reasons. Um, but yeah, I think that this game mostly like man, it's a really good character driven story so far, and I'm just really enjoying that aspect along with the rest of it. But that's kind of the shining thing I think that it has going for it.
All right. And yeah, I agree with you that the guy who plays the Don is really solid. I'm actually a big fan of Luca, who's kind of like your mentor
Yeah,
figure.
yeah,
That
Lucas cool.
yeah, I can't remember the Don's nephew, but he does a good job of playing his role, of the spoiled, entitled kid. Um,
His name is Cesare.
okay, that's right. Um, and it was just funny because I'm like, okay, we have another protagonist named Enzo. I'm like, yeah, it's probably a really a popular name, but it's just I can't not think of Assassin's Creed anymore.
I know, yeah.
Uh, it's kind of like tapped out. So, anyways, no, the facial expressions are really well done. The cutscenes are really solid. It plays more like the original Mafia game, which kind of when you looked at it, you're like, oh yeah, this is going to be like a Grand Theft Auto, but in like the early 1930s or something like that. That's the vibe you got from it. Then when you played it, you're like, oh no, this is a really linear game. Like there are some times where you can just kind of free roam, as it were, but like it's not meant for that. And that's kind of what this is. It's like there are moments in certain missions where you can just kind of go about, like the first time you get a car, you're like, yeah, you can start to actually explore the map and there are collectibles for you, but it's really awkward because they're like, yeah, this isn't built for that. This is not this kind of game. You're not meant to, like, especially since you can't even put down a waypoint on your map. You
Mm,
can't just be like, I want to pick up this one newspaper or this one collectible item here. They also make the map really weird that way, where like anytime you walk by them, they'll just appear for you, which is great. The problem is when you click into the map, you're so far back, you don't realize that they're there, because they don't. And that's not until you zoom all the way in, then you're like, oh, there are the collectible trinkets I need on the map. And it's like it's silly to have it not tell you that. You have to just zoom in and be like, oh, there it is. And then when you see it, you can't just click it to have it have like the roadmap to get there. Especially since you have a feature where like you can skip all horse riding or traversal sections from long periods. You can just they give you an option just to skip it if you don't want to actually do it, like or sit through and load that. So it's weird that that's what they've decided to do. Uh, Other than that, the gunplay is, it's nothing to write home about, but it's also still fun.
Mhm.
It's just nothing innovative, and the guns are solid. Um, the like I said, I'm mostly in it for the story. We're about a third of the way through the game, and I don't want to give away too much, but it's only been a handful of hours. It's not a very long game,
Mhm.
which I think is right for this. You don't want to be just wasting too much time. And I think that's one of the reasons why I kind of like the fact that it's not an open world game. It's just more linear. I mean, you can, like I said, explore if you want to, but everything's pretty simple and pretty laid out for you. Being like, no, no, this is where you should go, and we're just gonna just pretty much tell you to do that. So
Yeah, I think you know, I heard the hour, you know, the number of hours this game should take to to beat. I think it's like 12. I think that's if you don't really do really any extra or something like that. And I think that's about right. I mean, it's weird because I think a lot of people want like 50, 60, 70 hour games, or at least a game that has, you know, a main story that's 30 hours and then everything else added on brings it up to like 60 or 70. Um, but you know, when you play a lot of games and when you play and when you're an adult and you have adult things to do, you just don't, I mean, you just don't have that kind of time. Like most of like 80% of a 70-hour game, and this is being generous, 80% of a 70-hour game is all stuff that you've either seen before or done before in that very game itself. Um, and it's probably more like 90 or 95%. Like there's so much like do over and stuff like that. So like a 12-hour game is kind of exactly what I want in my life, like right now. Um, but yeah, so it's good so far. I was, you know, for the first, because I didn't really know much about this game. I didn't know how linear it was going to be, how open world it was going to be. I kind of assumed it'd be somewhat open world, or somewhat more open world than it actually is. So I was kind of waiting for the game to open up, and I hit about the 2 hour mark, and I was like, I think this game, I think this is what this game is. Because it like gave some opportunities I thought where another game would have been like, okay, now run around in this area until you do the thing you need to do, and it didn't do that. So I was like, okay, so this game is more linear than I had, you know, thought it was going to be. But yeah, it's good. The you know the fighting, the combat's good. Um, I don't think that there's anything wrong with the actress playing the love interest. Um, but I think she's like a good actress and stuff. But there's just something about her that I I don't know. It's I don't know. I don't. I'm. She's not bad or anything, but she's definitely not my favorite character. She's probably my least like favorite of like the
I think
mainish characters in the
character
game.
archetype. I think that's the problem. The character archetype itself, because it's very much it's they're all tropes at this point,
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's like that's the thing is you got you got the blood relation of the Don, who's always hot headed. They're spoiled and entitled because their daddy or their a relative, in this case uncle, is the Don, and they think they're hot stuff. You have you generally have a the daughter who's obviously trying to come out from the thumb, in quote unquote, the thumb of a overprotective or over controlling parent, and they're like, I want to make my own, the whole I want to make my own destiny speech or something like
Mm,
that. It's my life to live. They're alluding to the like a Romeo and Juliet esque romance, or like a forbidden love, right? Because it's uh she wants something she can't have. They both are uh, interested in each other. Whether it's going to happen or not, that's to be seen. So they're playing a lot with these different concepts. Um, yeah, I think what even though the basic formula of these type of it's media at this point.
Mm,
We've consumed enough games, or we've consumed enough TV, movies, so
yeah.
you kind of know the layout of most things. It's the execution which counts,
And
and
I think they are doing a
uh,
good job with that.
yeah, and it's like the idea of being more or less an indentured slave in the very beginning of the story, kind of like, oh, that's a twist that I wasn't necessarily expecting. Um, I mean, some of the interests, because it takes place in 1904, and it was 1904 Sicily, I believe,
Yeah.
and there there's a whole different kind of customs and dynamics. Like they're still based on the honor system, so you can just throw down in the middle of a gunfight to have a one-on-one knife duel, just like
Yeah, I'm glad you
my
brought that up because I really like, I don't know if it was in the other games or whatever, but the knife fighting system, it's some of the parts where it comes out in the story is a bit silly, because it is like so predicated on the honor system. But that's sort of the good old days that they're going for. But but most of the time it fits in well, and the actual technical aspects of the knife fights are pretty good. I think they're pretty fun. Um, I would like to play it on like hard mode because I'm playing it on the normal or medium mode right now, and it's it's not particularly difficult. I the first couple of fights that I was in, I got I did take some damage, probably too much damage. But once I kind of got the hang of like parrying and stuff like that, I found that they don't really mix it up that much. Like there's like a so they do a normal attack and you can parry that. But if they do an aggressive attack, you have to dodge it, like a lot, like in a lot of games. And really, in my playthrough so far, they've really not done very many aggressive attacks. It's been like 90-10 in terms in the ratio between normal attacks, which you can parry, and aggressive attacks, which you have to dodge. So I can pretty much just count on parrying most of the time and get away with it and barely take any damage while not really having to like react or anything like that. But otherwise, it's a pretty cool system.
Yeah, for the way plays out, I think I got a little more heavy attacks on my end. But if you're used to playing any action game, something like the Arkham series games, Sleeping Dogs or anything, you're used to seeing a flashing light or a color and reacting to dodge when you see said blinky light or something. And that's exactly what it does. Is it indicates right away that, hey, this is a unblockable or unparryable attack. So uh, you can mostly figure to parry. The one thing it doesn't like it punishes you for is if you try to button mash. If you
Hmm.
try to you have a thrust, like a swipe, and then you have your parry and your strong attack, and they'll indicate like as you're doing damage, they'll put up their guard, and when they put up their guard, then you're like, okay, well now here's where I just do my strong attack, and then anytime you expect them to attack, just be prepared to parry, and parry is almost an instant free hit or two.
Right.
Uh, and then with one of the later duels in or I went ahead and rescued the son of an important person, and I had a duel. And it was funny because he does a combo, or at least for me, he did a combo of heavy attacks. So I would dodge out of the way for the heavy attack, and if you do it just right, you can do a perfect dodge where it does slow motion. Um,
Right.
but I only did that like once. The rest of the time, I dodged just a little early, and then he'd do a follow up with a um, second heavy attack. But what I ended up doing is I just ended up doing multiple swipes. So I literally went slash slash while he swung at me was able to avoid the damage of him hitting me. So I was unharmed, and then I backed up. And then it's funny because that's how kind of how I ended up finishing the fight is a bunch of parries, a couple thrusts here and there. Then whenever he would do that second heavy attack, I literally just ended it with me doing a double slash mid combo, and I was barely hurt. I am playing on the hardest difficulty, the hard
Oh,
mode.
okay.
Um, the only thing it does, so it doesn't really affect. I don't think it affects the duels much. What it affects is normal gameplay, the gun violence. So you get shot like one bullet will pretty much knock out at least one bar of health, if not more.
Okay.
So I feel like in a couple hits, I'm already down to flashing red light, almost no health at all. So then I just have to take cover, and then you'll regain. If you have a partial thing of health, wherever it is, it'll regain that current bar you're on if you just hide it long enough. So most of the time, if I'm running through an area and I'm not playing it like stealthy, I will be pretty much just the last bar of health the entire time, which all it means is I just have to, bide my time, pop around corners, and just make my headshots count, which I did get the trophy for like the 30 headshots,
Oh, nice.
which it's pretty easy. The targeting is a little wonky to get used to, and
Yes.
so I'm favoring a bolt action rifle a little bit more than I normally would, and then I switched to the larger board pistol. It's like it shoots 4 rounds, but it has more stopping power. So I kind of went with that. The the only time I died twice so far. Once was I jumped out of a vehicle. I just kind of hopped out without coming to a full stop, and it was starting to roll down a hill. So I went to run and jump back in, and it barely like hit me, and then I collapsed all dramatically, like I just got completely creamed by this thing. I'm like, no, dude, I just kind of barely got clipped by the tire, and I rolled
Uh,
over dead. Uh,
well,
so it was like it's like the GTA, like the way I expected just to see wasted on the top, because
mm,
it was stupid, but all right. And then I got the trophy for accidentally disobeying to kill this person, and
oh,
uh
I did that instantly. I did that before they asked me to.
you killed him. You're just like, yeah, you're just like, let me murder this dude. Well, what I did is I switched weapons. I went to switch
Oh,
weapons. So so I pulled up, I hit L1 to pull up my weapon or whatever, or L2. I went L2 to pull up my weapon. I'm like, oh, I don't want to use this, and so I went to switch. So you have to hit L1 and then hit over. But the moment I put my gun down, and then makes a comment like, I knew you didn't have it in you or something, and then I got shot, but I got a trophy for it. So I was like, hey, that's cool. It
yeah. I
was like
mean, I figured
something about
I was like, that. Whenever they had me do that, I was like, I'm just gonna do it because like I know where this is going. But after I did, I was like, I wonder what they would have done if I didn't. If I didn't do that. So yeah, I guess they just kill you because you're not one of them. So yeah.
but like I said, I got a trophy for it. But then I'm like, no, because I was trying to switch to my shotgun because I wanted to make sure no one recognized his face.
Oh,
As
see, you were thinking.
um, I mean, that was just that was where my mind went to. And then the moment I let go, the moment I put down the gun, he was like, I knew you didn't have it, and just got wasted. I'm like, dang it. But yeah, I was like, just let me explain. Maybe maybe I wanted to give him a Colombian necktie in Sicily. Like uh. But So, anyways, the game's fun. I'm enjoying my time with it. It's honestly, it's once again, it's for the price. I think it is deserving of what it is. It's a solid, fun game, and well, yeah, what I was seeing is I was seeing it at like 12 to 15 hours for like main story and the few side missions,
Yeah.
and then like a little over 20 hours if you wanted to run around collecting everything. And that's one of the things this thing does is it does like so many chapters because it's more linear based, and there are collectibles that are tied to chapters.
Right.
Um,
Oh, okay.
so then, if you go back to certain areas, like if you go back to the town where you had in the very beginning where you had the horse race, there's you can see like when you zoom all the way in on the map, you'll see that it says like, oh, there's a newspaper here, and it has a yellow indicator. It says this item is can be found in this mission, and same with you have to infiltrate a different a compound essentially, and there's some items there, and it says can be found in this mission. I'm like, well, that's the mission I'm currently in, so I'm like, all right. But yeah, I mean, I think it's uh, yeah, I'm not gonna. It's not game of the year, at least not. But maybe it has as far as stories go, it has me interested, and I really do hope it pays out. Um, Especially like I really liked Mafia 3, but at the same time, the actual gameplay loop of it was kind of its weak point. It was its Achilles heel on that one because
Mm,
it was just busy work for busy work's sake to a certain extent. Because you had to do you got three people that you had to convince to join your crew, and each person had a district, so you had to take out like two or three mini missions to then summon out like one or two big guys. Then you took out those two big guys to then complete the area, and you had to do that a couple times per person you're trying to win over. And it's just like, okay, I get the rhythm, and it's literally the same thing again and again. It was just like it kind of just was busy work
yeah,
to a certain extent. Like, it was fun to do for a little bit, but making me do the exact same amount of missions to do the same, to bring out the same things to get, like that was the weak point. Because at a certain point, I'm like, okay, let's just get this, because the story was compelling, and that was a really fun story. And it had ties. Like, I'm a big fan of the Mafia series as far as stories go, and I thought uh, Mafia 3 was probably still the best playing one, but just that mission structure was just a little tedious, and that was trying to get more game for your dollar, and so that's why I'm like, you know what, I like the fact that I really respect the fact that they're like, you know what, we're in an $80 world. Yes, it may be pandering to the people to be like, yeah, we're selling it for 50, but guess what? It's still better than not. It's
yeah,
just like, hey, you could have gotten away with 60. You really could have, but you're not being
yeah,
it's like, you're doing the right decision, and I hope it pays for them in the end, because uh it's there was effort put into this game, and I think it should be rewarded.
yeah, yeah. I think so too. It's definitely a good game. Uh, I can say that almost without any reservations, just on how it's playing so far. So yeah, it's definitely good, and I'm looking forward to finishing the rest of it.
All right, and that's it for what we've been playing. What have you been watching? You seem to be very confused on something.
So I've been watching something that I am not going to talk about yet. I should be able to talk about it next time. Um, but I wanted to go ahead and reserve it for next time so I could finish up a couple little things on it. But and I also have been really busy, in general with playing games, and work has gotten really busy. But I have had a chance to watch a little bit of Wednesday season 2. So this is the Adams Family, spinoff show with um, and her name escapes me. I just had it in my head. Um, Jenna Ortega as the lead. Um, yeah, so I started watching this. I don't know how many episodes are out. I know there's going to be a part 2 coming out like in September, early September. Um, so, but I'm like 1.5 episodes in. Um, I enjoyed the first season. I at least I think that I probably talked about it on this show. Um, I'm pretty sure that I enjoyed the first season. I'm pretty sure I talked positively about it. So I started this one up, and I was like, okay, so we're gonna have some more of that and stuff like that. And I don't remember the first season being as um quite as aimed at children. It probably was, and I'm just kind of remembering it with rose-colored glasses. But I felt like this one is a little bit more aimed at kids than the first one. I don't know exactly why that would be, other than maybe it was a bigger hit with kids, and so like, okay, we're gonna tweak it a little bit to make it go down that way. Maybe it's my imagination. I don't know, but um, it's we're back in the Harry Potter style school, so it's like it's Hogwarts but for scary kids, for weird kids, and then like a lot of them have powers and stuff. So it does feel very Harry Potter. It does feel really, really Harry Potter in just a lot of ways. Um, but a lot of the jokes so far are very. They're just they're just they're just very young jokes that are just not very good. They're just not very funny. But there are a couple times where they do have like a little wink and a nod to, I guess, any adults in their 30s that might be watching this show. Because like I think Catherine Zeta-Jones' character said something that was pretty funny. That was like very like under the radar. And I know Jenna Ortega's character said something or another, and I was like, okay, that was actually funny. You didn't want me to laugh, but I did. I did think it was funny, um, and or at least not laugh out loud. So there's all that, and then this. I'm not gonna spoil anything. I may not be able to spoil anything because I might just be wrong, but I am gonna. But if you don't want anything to be spoiled at all, even the hint of a spoil, then maybe you rip the headphones off right now. Um, so so I'm watching the first episode, and I'm getting kind of annoyed because it's a little bit more twee than I remembered it being. And so there's a character that comes in, and I'm like, oh, they're the bad guy. Okay, yeah. And then it kind of goes on a little bit longer. And then another character comes in, and I was like, okay, no, the first person I thought was the bad guy was not the bad guy. This person is definitely the bad guy. But it took me about 25 seconds to realize that this second person was actually the bad guy. And I'm eager to see if I am right. I'm pretty sure that I am, but it'll just remain to be seen. But yeah, so that kind of made me go, this show doesn't really. It's got a lot of red herrings that are kind of floating around, but they're just a little bit too overt. And the one that they're like trying to hide, I'm like, okay, you're trying to hide that. That's definitely who you have being the bad guy. But you know, it's just it's a little gamble that I have going with myself, and I think that's probably going to be the main driver for me finishing this season, is to see if I was right about it. Also, there's something weird that's going on with Jenna Ortega. So you don't really notice it except on close-ups, close-up shots of her face, but I think part of it is makeup, because like she is a naturally more freckly girl, but they have like freckles like in and around her chin and mouth, but like across her cheeks, I think they're using some kind of makeup to flatten everything out and make everything kind of pale and white or whatever, which is okay. I get it. It's fine. But right around the bridge of her nose, I think they're doing something digitally, because like around the bridge of her nose is where it just goes out of focus, so that it almost blends, not crazy, but almost completely in with the like her cheeks next to her nose, and her nose are just sort of flattened out and blurry. And I kind of thought it was weird at first, and then I noticed, I was like, is that's sort of what's going on there? And I paid attention whenever it had a close up on her face. I have like a 65-inch screen, and I'm not sitting that far away from it. And I'm like, yeah, there's something blurred out about the bridge of her nose. So I don't know why they felt the need to do that. Maybe it was in the first season. I just never noticed it. I'm pretty sure that I would have though. And anyway, it's just an odd choice that I wonder why they felt the need to do it. So yeah.
Okay,
Anyway,
so I don't know nothing about this show because I never bothered watching season one when it came out. I'm not a big Adams Family person. I mean, I saw the first and second movie when they came out, whenever they came out, and
90s. Yeah.
so the I had recently seen like just it was just some YouTube thing, and I had no idea that this was the same person because she looks completely different, or at least this red carpet event thing, her face, like I'm
I've
sure
been
some
seeing
of
that.
it's
Yeah.
her bone structure is just like before she's more well rounded, and then the other photo she looks. I'm like, I understand trying to play it up to be like, oh, you're looking like a dead person or something, or you're fitting that Adams Family like mold,
Gothy something. Yeah.
but it's very much something different because it's like the cheeks to the jaw. This like makeup does a lot for it to make it look that way, but I'm like, it
It,
just something seems
sh
very off. Um,
yes. She's like
like
cut in that. I've seen that picture, and somebody said that I don't know if this is true. It's but like somebody said that it's some kind of operation where they basically, I mean, it's some kind of like a liposuction or whatever, basically where they cut, like where they take the excess flesh or fat or whatever like out of your face to make your face like more angular. That's just somebody like talking like out of their butt. But I am
I
kind
would,
of,
I would believe it. Like I was thinking maybe it's like because it's more than just makeup shadowing,
yeah, it's a
but it
lot.
was
Yeah.
it was her next to the other person, and the other person I didn't recognize her like because they make them both seem so childish in the beginning, like in season, or at least the stuff from like season one. So I'm like, I just assumed they were like teen actors playing younger child actors. I was like, I didn't know exactly what age demographic they're all supposed to be, but it's just like she looks yeah, she looks much older and in the most recent photos, and I'm like, well, that seems really odd. So
I
uh
think like I think this just sort of happens. This happens now with Hollywood people. Like they just like they have to obsess, over their looks so much, not in terms of like necessarily being good looking, though that is a big factor, but like having like a new look or having like a thing that's gonna like elevate them. That's the only thing I can think of why you would do something like that. Because I mean, she's like 23 years old. There's no reason for her to be having anything like done. It's just it's kind of, it's strange, and I guess only time will tell what is actually going on. But it's it's very odd to say the least.
yeah, I mean, the algorithm is what pulled up this weird thing, and I'm like, and it was just, I was like, wait a minute, so okay, there's a season two. Had no idea because I don't have any of the main, I only have like Amazon Prime at this point, and that's only because I want the shipping. It just
Yes.
happens to come with videos, so that's kind of the gist of it. It's like I don't have any of the other streaming services, so I didn't realize season two was out. I quick looked it up, and it's 8 episodes for season one, 8 episodes for season two, and then there's supposed to be a season three out. Which is that part two you were talking about, I think. Um,
Okay.
at
So
least that's according to IMDb.
okay.
IMDb has eight, and eight, and then season three has it listed as one episode, like ordered, I guess. Um,
Weird. Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how many episodes are out right now. They're breaking it up though. That's what Netflix seems to be doing because I guess they're feeling the hits of people signing up for 1 month to watch the show that they want and then bouncing. So they're separating it out. I mean, this one came
okay,
out in,
yeah, because it's 4 episodes dropped in the beginning of August.
yeah,
August, and then it's 4 episodes. The last 4 episodes are going to drop the beginning of September.
yeah,
Okay, that makes sense.
yeah. It just, yeah. I mean, Netflix is. I think Netflix has reached that critical mass where they, what's that? that thing in The Dark Knight, um, where it's like, either you die the hero or you live long enough to become the villain. I think that it's been happening for a while that Netflix has lived long enough to start to become the villain, where it's just like the things that I always liked about them, which, first was there was a lot of good shows, early on and stuff like that. But then also like, oh, you just drop it all at once and you can just binge it, and now they're like, well, we're gonna like split it up. And I know Stranger Things Stranger Things, just the length, like we were like in the middle of the pandemic when the last season of Stranger Things came out, and now the next season is coming out, and they're going to split it over at least two releases. One is going to be like they're like going to be far apart anyway. They're just doing these things that I'm like, you guys are the kings of this whole space for a reason, probably because you were first, but also because like, you gave us what we wanted, and these little games where we're putting it out in this part and then in that part. It's like we're just returning back to like cable TV. I can see it. It's gonna be cable TV, but you're paying for it and you have to watch ads. Like I just know that's like where we're going. Anyway.
Yeah, well, it's been the writing on the wall for a while. Though when you mentioned them being at critical mass, all I could ever think of is when something comes up like that is uh, pop star, never stop, never stopping.
Uh,
When the manager is talking about the main character Connor, it goes, and it's something like I want him to be everywhere, like oxygen, gravity, and clinical depression.
yeah, it's pretty good.
But yes, all right. Well, you let me know how the rest of that season, second season of Wednesday goes. And I said I knew a lot of people really liked the first season when it came out, but that like Squid Games, mad popular when they first dropped. I didn't care about any of those. So yeah, I'm the weird one here. So
No, I think you might have made the right move on both of these, but it remains to be seen. Okay.
all right. I, on the other hand, have thanks to Amazon Prime. I happened to spend some time with some family over the weekend who I am a racing fan, but I like F1 racing and like GT racing. Uh, some of the other family members like NASCAR. So I found something that we could all watch together, and that's it's American Thunder, NASCAR to Le Mans. And so this happened a while ago, and I actually I remember it being a thing, and that's why I was like, I just didn't really remember too much about the outcome of it, and I didn't know the story behind it because I really didn't care. But the long and the short of it was NASCAR decided to try to enter the 24-hour Le Mans in their class division, for uh, with a more or less a slightly modified NASCAR stock, car. Like a
Mm.
NASCAR NASCAR are only meant to be driven for 3 to 4 hours or whatever. So to try to modify to have the longevity of a 24-hour endurance race and to have the team to do it, stuff like that. So I'm like, all right. I'm a huge, like I said, I'm a big fan of the 24-hour Le Mans. It's a great race. A lot of historical, actors have done it in the past. Um, Most recently, Michael Fassbender. He did it for a couple of years, I believe. Um,
He raced in Le Mans.
yeah, he
Wow.
raced for Porsche, if I remember correctly. It's been a while. Uh,
Okay.
and I think he crashed actually the last his last race. It was I think he did it for like 2 or 3 years. Um, and I'm pretty sure he crashed his last. He didn't get to finish his last race. Um, but there's a couple other people, of course, Stephen McQueen, obviously, the movie, there's a movie called Le Mans with him being the star feature. Um, and there's a couple other really, uh, I'm forgetting the most, one of the more impressive ones too. And I'm going to kick myself the moment this is done. But yeah. Uh, Anyways, no, the long and the short of this is it's interesting if you're into NASCAR, or if you're interested in this setup they had to do in order to get to from point A to point B. Um, NASCAR had a really good showing. Is what it was. It wasn't, uh, and it's just funny because they are in a class of vehicle of their own, more or less, because
Mm,
there's no vehicle like a NASCAR. And one of the funny things is just the talking about how the sound of the stock car racing around the track opposed to a GT or a supercar or anything like that. So I found it interesting that way. But yeah, it was a good way to kind of bridge that gap between me and the other family members or my in-laws, being like, yeah, hey, you like NASCAR? I will respect your like of NASCAR, and I will show you something more interesting.
mm,
Uh, the way I play it.
okay,
So
that's pretty cool.
yeah, it's like an hour and a half documentary, and I totally think it serviced what it was, and it made it seem really interesting. As far as once again, if you hate NASCAR, then you don't waste your time. That's all there is to it.
Actually, I don't know if I told you this, but a while ago, a buddy invited me over. He's he's not the most car guy that I know or have met, but he's definitely kind of a car guy. And he was having barbecue. This was a month ago, 2 months ago, I forget when it was. But he was like, "Hey, do you want to come over and watch Le Mans and eat barbecue?" And I was like, "Sure." So we just watched
You're like,
like
you have me at barbecue.
yeah, I mean barbecue, yeah. So I got there and it was the day of the race, and it was like it was it's in Texas. It was day or kind of getting close to evening. So in France it was like dark, like really like early in the morning or something like that. And so we watched quite a bit of it with me and him and some of our friends and stuff like that. So, but like I don't really know much about the race other than the Ford versus Ferrari info that comes out. But he watched it every year, at least a good chunk of it every year. So I was able to ask him a bunch of stuff like, okay, so how does this work, and like who traditionally wins the most, and like who do we hate and who do we like and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool. I didn't know that that you had an affinity for this race in particular, or else I might have mentioned it earlier.
Yeah, Paul Newman. He was he ended up coming in second,
Dang,
and he raced back. He raced back when uh, him and Steve McQueen, they both raced before the 3-man rule was initiated. So it was one single driver for
dang,
the entire 24 hours. Now it's a 3-man team,
yeah.
so it's a lot easier. It's the amount of things that came out of Le Mans, just in general, like arguably, like any safety feature of your vehicle, headlights, windshield wipers, seatbelts. Most of that is maybe not a direct correlation, but like heavily influenced by the 24-hour Le Mans.
I
Just-
I was reading some facts about it, and like there was a race, one of the early ones, literally like in the early like 1900s or something, where there was a wreck that like killed like 40 people.
yeah, that tire went out, like it rolled into the stands and stuff. If I remember
And
correctly.
like they didn't stop the race or anything like that. I forget. There's like more things about it, but I was like, but like I forget what the number is, but it was a number. I think it was around 40 or something like that. Where I was like, holy crap, that's a lot of people to just be killed. I mean, from a race, you think like, oh, 1, 2, 10, but like 40, that's like, I mean, that's crazy.
That vehicle like crashed, like I said, right into the stands. So it's
Yeah,
uh,
that probably
you know,
can't really happen now, but but it used to be a much wilder race, and now I mean, it's still very fast and all that stuff, but they just have something like, okay, we know how safety works now, and we actually care about it. So, we're gonna take measures.
I mean, it's it's a fun race, mostly also because it's uh mostly civilian roads. Just
Right.
it's not a specialized track. It's like legit French. Uh, F1 does that with a lot of their locations too. They'll do regular roads, and NASCAR has been trying to branch out lately. They did Vegas for a few years. They did Chicago for a few years, and they're leaving Chicago now to do a military base to race like on that grounds because enough people, I guess, in Chicago were upset about um, the congestion slash noise or whatever. I'm like, yeah, it's whatever. It's them getting to do more road courses. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, I'm a fan of racing. And I actually got to do. I took my father-in-law. We were in Florida, so we decided to go to um, Daytona Speedway, and we paid to walk the course and stuff like that. And like the incline is crazy on the bank. You don't realize it. You can't really tell by looking, but it is extremely sloped. You are, like you can't really. It's hard to stand up straight, without tipping over. It's like okay, this is something you don't really understand from video.
Yeah.
Uh, so that was kind
The
of
G
cool.
forces that like don't they take a G on each one of those turns?
Oh, probably more than that. But
Yeah.
yeah, and
So
that's the thing
you're
is
taking two
it's
G's a mile. It's like, yeah, it's at least, so like what you're taking 100% gravity again on top of the gravity that you already feel. Yeah, it's definitely a feat of endurance, even just in the couple, 3-4 hours that they race. It's just, yeah, it's wild.
oh, that's right. Um, though I will say one of my favorite quotes from this documentary was the team that did it. They had um, when they got to Le Mans, everyone's signing like the book, essentially all the racers, and they end up quoting Ricky Bobby. If like and I think it was like if you're not, I think it's like if you're not winning, you're losing or something like that. Um, it was just like the fact that they quoted Ricky Bobby from Talladega Nights was just funny as get out to
I
me.
mean, there's like subtle kind of, there's like a stupid kind of wisdom to that statement. If you're not winning, you're losing. It's like, well, yeah.
Anyways, yeah, all right. That's it. That's what I've been watching. All right. So why don't you jump to the news? I mean, there wasn't a whole lot, so let's what we got.
Yeah. So, yeah, not a whole lot, and not a whole lot that I found particularly, game changing. Um, but there were two different stories that I guess seemed to come from the same interview. I didn't read the articles closely enough to really, ferret that out. But basically, Shawn Layden, former PlayStation US boss, was doing an interview or a couple of interviews where he's been talking smack about the current situation in the gaming industry or whatever. And so one of these articles is from Video Games Chronicle. The other one is from IGN. So the first one, for the one from Video Games Chronicle, basically Shawn Layden was saying that game prices, I think this is the actual title, game prices should have increased with every new generation. So kind of reading the article, he's kind of saying like, the game prices really should have increased with every new generation. It's just that everyone is afraid to make the first move and lose out on, on on sales and stuff like that. So they just take a haircut. And he didn't say it that way, but it's like so they just eat the costs and have basically less profits or whatever. And I was kind of reading that, and I was like, you know, there's I was kind of like, well, yeah, you would say that. You were a guy that was trying to sell games, so you look at it from
Crap
that.
thing. He's a piece of crap for saying that. I'm just gonna say it right out now because that doesn't make any sense because PC has maintained a price point of certain for a long time of certain games. Also, every time a new console generation comes out, minimum wage doesn't go up. You know,
Yeah.
so you can just eat a bag. That's all. Like
Yeah,
seriously.
that's kind of what I was like. That was part of what I was thinking. I was like, well, video game prices kind of stopped going up really about there's probably a pretty good correlation between that and when Steam became widespread and popular, because once that happened it was like, hang on a minute, there's a little bit more there's a little bit more democracy in games now, and you can kind of like, well, I don't have to buy those games. I don't have to buy them on PlayStation or whatever. I can buy them on PC or buy something similar on PC, and where there's a lot more choice in terms of price. And I was also just kind of like, look, I mean, there are studios that get started up and studios that get shut down. There's studios that last and studios that don't last. And if you can't make profit on a game for the price, you're going to shut down. A lot of studios have done that. But if you can make profit on a game, uh, then you're going to stay open. And like, yeah, nobody wants to move on that price point, but it's like, well, we're making money at $60. We're making money at $50. It's, whatever it is, at $70, which 50, 60, 70, it seems like it's moved quite a bit. It's about to move to 80. He was saying that it's been the same price for 20 years. And I was like, wait a second. PlayStation, so 20 years ago would be 2005. That would be before the PlayStation 3 came out. PS3 games were $60. Isn't that right?
Yeah, it was PS3 360 moved to 60.
Yeah. And then PS4 or whatever moved to 70. I don't know. So I don't know. Like, I don't really understand. I honestly don't really understand now a lot of the things that he was saying. It doesn't sound like it's just sort of silly, but it's like, yeah, bro, you would think that, but that things have, if there's any truth to what he's saying, the counter is that gaming has become a lot more spread out, and there's just people just have more choices. The other thing that came out from an interview he gave was this is from IGN. This is the title of the article was Xbox Game Pass style subscriptions bad for the business and turn developers into wage slaves, says former PlayStation boss Shawn Layden. And I mean, on this one, I don't know. On this one, I'm a little bit more inclined to agree with him. I think that the Xbox Game Pass style stuff is inevitable, as we have like streaming and like streaming games and stuff like that. And I mean, streaming just seems to be the way everything is going to go.
Because we
So
don't own it.
yes, and if buying isn't owning, then torrenting isn't stealing, right? Question, right? In Minecraft. So yeah, I mean, so like I'm kind of inclined to agree with them a little bit. I think that there's probably, I think it's probably just the birth pangs of these subscription services for games. I think in 20 years, probably even in 10 years, there will be like, okay, we were doing this wrong, we were doing that wrong. We kind of have to do this thing this way. So I think it'll kind of get worked out, but I, I am inclined to agree that like just from a quality standpoint, I think that the subscription services is going to degrade the quality of the bulk of video games. I think about 70-80% of games are going to be worse because they are going to be based on a subscription model. But it kind of just remains to be seen.
Well, I mean, yeah, I see the argument for the subscription based model being kind of hurting. Just like how if you look at Netflix and how they've kind of uh condense the formula of a modern TV series or a movie into certain basic components. It's almost paint by numbers kit, right? You
Hmm.
know exactly how to do it their style, and it's not been really a boon to cinema as a whole. It's not really helped the medium of entertainment. It provides you entertainment, yes, but it doesn't actually provide you with any real sustenance. It's just kind of your calorie bar version of what you need. So,
It's just time wasters. There's just a lot of like, well, we made this thing and it's just like every other thing, but you can do it for like, 5, 6, 10, 20 hours, whatever. Yeah.
so when it, then in the eyes of uh, if you're making your game and you're not, and they come to you being like, hey, do you want to have it on Game Pass? Certain people might find that to be helpful, depending on what the actual, because I don't think anyone's actually talked about what the numbers are, because I think they're all NDA'd. But yeah, hey, getting that extra subscription money, like being able to have your new movie on X, Y, or Z streaming platform,
Yeah.
that's that's fine if you could still sell it on the side. But if you are under Microsoft's thumb and you're like, no, no, you're making this game for us, and it's yes, technically people can buy it, but no one's going to buy it because it's going to be on our streaming platform. Yeah, that sucks, and I can see that being really harmful for a lot of the employees. But yeah. Oh, uh, I misquoted. The Ricky Bobby thing was if you're not first, you're last. Uh,
Okay.
so
It's
so it's
yeah.
yeah.
If you're not first, you're last. I mean, that's actually kind
Because
of
I've seen
makes.
it. Yeah, it's better that way. But it's anyways. Still, and just like I guess I see that as Sony's corporate motto too, right? So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But like, I think his in the article, just to clarify, because I think I'm kind of going at a different point. But from what he was trying to make, he was trying to say bad for business and turn developers into wage slaves, which I think he kind of meant like that developers sort of just kind of, it's like, well, they're just trying to make money like anybody else. Like everybody's a wage slave. Anybody with a job is a wage slave. If you're an employee anywhere, you're a wage slave. So I don't really know what you mean by that, other than like maybe they don't own their own destiny. They're
my thought lack of creativity. You're pumping out something. You're
yeah,
just pumping out the same gruel like a Netflix show. You're like, yeah, we just got to make this palatable enough, but we're not making anything. We can't spend the time or the money or resources to make something truly innovative. Anything remotely art or whatever fancy. It's just no, no. Here's your generic, run of the mill shooter number 4 of the year. Here's your racing game generic thing because they already got their flagship. So here's our other thing, our cart like racing game adjacent, our sports a game kind of. It's like that another battle royale sim thing. It's like that's kind of what I got from it is what he means by like wage slave. It's like you're not doing anything for the passion. You're just in it for the 9 to 5, and you're just and you're just trying to make something to not get fired. you
yeah,
know,
yeah. Okay, I think that's a good way to put it.
Microsoft will fire you anyways because they've proven that with Lego GameWorks. So Microsoft, no one's safe.
Don't worry, they're gonna wait till you're finished with the game and then they're gonna lay you off.
Yeah, well, I mean, they'll probably just try to take it back, even if you have a physical copy. It's like, oh yeah, did you not read the writing in the beginning? If you at any given point, we could just take it back from you. But all right, what else you got for us, man?
Okay, a couple other things that are not as important, I don't think, but Wu Chang, Fallen Feathers. So so there were some updates to the digital version of the game. Um, so I don't know if this. I don't remember if this is just in China or if it's everywhere, and it's just, but or if it's everywhere, but like basically, they made updates to the game where you cannot kill famous uh, people from Chinese history. So the way that it works now is you fight them and then they just get tired and then they just start talking to you like normal or whatever, like, oh, you won or whatever, but you don't like, you can't actually like kill them. So apparently a lot of the people that bought the disc version of the game are celebrating this art. I think this is from Kotaku because it's worded just like a Kotaku article. They're celebrating because have they have access to the old version of the game, and I'm like, okay, I guess, but I don't know how, if you're ever gonna be able to play it updated or whatever. But anyway, so basically, China or people in China got mad about defaming, defacing, unhonoring the the historical figures, and so they patched that out. But the way they worded too is like plot improvement, like the plot improvements will continue or whatever, and it's like, oh, you're saying they're just trying to put it a nice way that they are censoring the game essentially. Um, it's whatever. I just saw it and I thought it was, I don't know. I don't like it. I just like make the game like, just make the game how you want, but different people in different cultures appreciate different things, so it's whatever.
Well, it's to appease the money of the Chinese overlords. And I can see why you would have to make concessions. I mean, Blizzard's done it,
Mm-hmm.
and if Blizzard can do it, then what? So it's
And so can you.
uh, yeah. And so the reason why people are happy about stuff like to own physical is on a preservation level, being like, hey, we have this thing that's unchanged. Actually, something similar happened with the Super Hot. I remember like I'm a big fan of Super Hot. I have the original game and the VR, and I remember loading in the VR game and being like, "There's an update." Wow, I had this like I just because I went back to play it like a couple of years after I had originally got it, and I'm like, "Yeah, let me just replay it because it'd be fun." And I'm like, "There's an update? Oh, sure, I'm gonna download the update." And then I went to look at what the patch notes were, and they're like, "Yeah, one of the key things of the game is because it's all about being in a virtual system and what challenging what's real and not. They took out any concept of self harm in order
Mm.
to progress through a level, and there was a couple things where it's just like it kind of pushed the boundaries, like oh yeah, like kind of like the idea of being like Neo in the Matrix and trying to doing a leap of faith or walking off the edge of a building
Oh.
or to get your character to jack out of the headset, you take a gun to your head, and I'm like, they gave no reason behind it other than like we apologize and we can do better and blah blah blah. I'm like, no, it fit thematically with your dystopian cyberpunk concept. It did. Like, you removing it is actually making it worse, and not giving a reason for it is just kind of salting the wounds. Like, give us the choice, put a toggle system, have it off on default, then kind of like those people who don't want gore in games, or like the Call of Duty experience where like there's some intense scenes here, like would you like to skip them? Like, give us that option, just don't alter it and be like, yeah, this is now our new vision. It's like it's like Harry, it's like J.K. Rowling being like, no, 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 even though series is all wrapped up and stuff, both books and movies, I'm going to retcon everything now.
Yeah.
Let me officially retcon it in a post-it note and slap them in the books, and this is how it's supposed to be. Like that just wouldn't fly. And so for them to just be like in for super hot devs, I'm like, which to me was like, okay, someone either went through some serious depression, or they had someone involved, family member involved in some sort of self harm or something like that, and therefore they had a huge self reflection and then tried to changing their property. But I'm like, we played and beat and own this version of your game. This is the way your game was originally done. uh, you should let us be able to play that version.
Yeah.
And you just switch it and without any real rhyme or reason. So I felt that that was a weird thing. And so in a sense of this being like, yeah, you can and I guess if you are people who also want to just like just be a hater, be like, I'm gonna hate these, like, you don't want me defacing or beating up your your historical figures. Well, guess what? I have the physical version now. I can do that as much as I want. I'm like, dude, that's what you have a mod for.
Yeah.
Like, when you can't do something, a mod will let you do it. When you can't, Fallout. When you can't hurt children, but you can kill everything else in the wasteland. There was a mod for that. I mean, so it's kind of silly that the need to fix this. But I'm like, all right, I can see to a certain extent being like, all right, well, I think other games have done so too, but that's more or less is a historical or like a it would like it wouldn't make sense in this game if you have time travel or something like that, or if it's a prequel game, you're not supposed to be able to kill this person because this person appears later on, or you do the Metal Gear Solid 3 thing where like you kill, I think it was Ocelot, and like a time paradox has happened and a game overs because technically that person has to live in the future to be in Metal Gear Solid 1. So
Mm,
it just literally makes fun of it, like it's a time paradox, game over. Like
that's
that's
funny.
yeah.
Okay.
So
Well, yeah. I mean, this is what China does. That they've done this for ever. So it's not really that surprising. I just thought I'd shine a light on it.
yeah. All right. What else you got?
Two more things. So mm, there, Overwatch 2. Um, Apparently the character Mercy is a big time uh, moneymaker for the the game, and so her skins are becoming uh, more and more expensive. I was reading this article that I'm drawing this from, said that there's a 3 character pack that's $45. She's one, Ash is one, and then I forget the other character, but that's a male character, something like that. But it's like, okay, yeah, maybe you're in it for the Ash or the whatever, but really it's priced that high because they know that you're getting the pack for the Mercy skin. Like, so really, it's really just a $45 Mercy skin. It's not technically, but de facto it basically is. And so now that that is happening, it, apparently fans are bullying the players that play Mercy again. And this is apparently something that's been going on. So anyway, I just thought it was interesting and thought I'd point it out.
Yeah, they hated Mercy since the original game, mostly because her power was like OP as heck. I
Yeah.
mean, they had to nerf Mercy quite a bit. I played Mercy back in the day just because it's like, well, I'm not a very good shot, so I will play a support role.
Yeah.
I was like, that's exactly my role. Like, I can most definitely commit to trying to be a healer. Um, and they did give Mercy a lot of fun outfits for like the holiday events and stuff like that. I'm like, all right, so it's just like I can see why that's that character would make a lot of money. It's a very twofold, right? It's a good looking character mixed with the fact that they are a very useful character to have.
Mm,
Um, almost anyone can play the healer, and it's vital to have. Especially like I said, I'm not sure. I haven't touched it since before Overwatch 2 came out,
yeah.
so I actually don't know any of the new updates, but I know they nerfed it down from like being able to res an entire area, so you can have all your people down and boom, just instantly like your whole side comes back at once. To that, like, no, you can only do one person at a time. And there's a cooldown. Like they changed quite a lot to try to make it more even. But I'm like, it doesn't matter. I mean, you have your other side. They'll have a mercy as well, so you can kind of have. It was a fun way to play. Uh, but yeah, all right.
Yeah.
I mean, opposed to having like a machine character, and like Zenyatta or something like that, who you know maybe not as attractive, and so therefore doesn't sell as many things. Plus, any has a little more learning curve, but had a really cool Cthulhu skin for the Halloween one, like a Cthulhu head, if I remember correctly. So, all right, that's stupid that there's bullying going on for a game that I thought no one cared about anymore. So, yeah,
Well, you're right about one of those things. Um, okay, so last thing, um, YouTube's new AI age verification system has gone into effect in the United States. At least this was the news, I think, from yesterday or something like that. So I read a little bit about this, and basically, it it it's a AI bot, whatever, on YouTube that kind of tracks what you watch and your behavior style and stuff like that, so that if you are if you're under 13 or whatever the age is, I think it's 13, um, but you act like a kid or whatever, then it will go, hey, you're behaving a lot like somebody that's under 13 based on, I guess, everything or whatever. So we're going to so I don't know what like the consequences are if it does find out that you are, or if it does think that you are under 13 or whatever.
it's supposed to be able. It's supposed to force you, lock you out of mature content,
Okay.
and force you to ID verify yourself. Um, so this has already been rolled out in certain parts of Europe,
Mm.
and so the idea that YouTube, for example, you're into Minecraft and you're into like Fortnite or something like that, and they determine like, oh yes, the things that you like or you're watching are popular with younger children, or it happens to be like, hey, you're letting a younger sibling use your account and they're watching a bunch of kids shows, and then it's going to be like, well, based off of what you've been watching, you're obviously a child, so you shouldn't be watching any mature content, anything with politics of certain nature or something like that. We've deemed these as adult appropriate or curse words or something like that, and now you're locked out of it. Good luck with that. You're going to have to show us actual ID to get yourself unlocked, and
Yeah.
like, which is BS all across the board. You should not have to, verify yourself with any of that crap, like with ID, especially for something like YouTube. Uh,
This seems like it
if it
would screw over
you
parents
know,
pretty hard.
like, yeah, but it's so stupid.
I guess you
I
just
mean,
make a new account or whatever. It's like, well, this is the account we have for the kids, and this is, you click around on that, and it's like,
I-
but it's
imagine if you pay for any of the YouTube, other stuff, whether it be the
well,
music, the uh
yeah.
the ad free stuff,
So
any of that.
I don't know where it starts and stops, exactly, but I would think that, like, but that was my worry. It's like, hey, I'm paying for YouTube Premium. I have a freaking credit card here. You're taking my money. If I have a credit card, what is that? Doesn't that mean I'm like over 18 or whatever? Um, so you better not hit me with that kind of crap, like, uh, even if, I mean, I don't know why I would get flagged that way, but if for some reason I'm paying for this stuff and I do get flagged and it tries to, like, downgrade my account to some, like, kiddie pool or whatever, I'd be like, hey, what the heck is going on here? It wouldn't make me happy at all.
I mean, I know you like to just, watch a lot of Blippy in your free time on YouTube and a lot of Coco Melon. That's just your life in a nutshell. I mean, while you're crying in your bag of Cheerios or something, but that's YouTube will see that and be like, hey, guess what? Despite you having a credit card on file with us, you're
Mm,
obviously a child using a parent's credit card,
yeah,
and it's time to block you. No, once again, it's it's I don't know. It's one of those things that I think it's I think it's just I think it's part of it is the excuse of, oh, we're doing it to help police. I'm like, no, you want the AI to collect more data to make your algorithm that much stronger,
it's
to
it's
sell more like
it's
viewing,
it's
analytics.
I think both are true. I think that YouTube does have a severe problem that only pops its head up every once in a while, but they have a severe problem with people that uh start with P and end with you know what. That was a big deal for a little while, and it went away. It got memory hold very quickly, but that stuff is still there. So I think that they have a huge problem with that, and they know they do, and they're trying to figure that out. So I think that's like the pure aspect of it. But at the same time, like even if these people that are running YouTube right now, even if they have good intentions or whatever, in 10 years, 5 years, 15 years, whatever, um, those AI systems are going to be in place, and somebody else is going to come in and go, oh, we have all this information now. We can do all these different things. I think that this is the way that the internet is going to go, because this is the way that everything else in human history has gone. There's a new frontier. It's a wild west. Anything goes. You can do whatever you want. That was the internet in the 90s. And then when you could actually do something in the 2000s, up until about 2010. I think that's going to be considered like the Wild West super ultra golden age of the internet, is when you could do whatever you wanted, torrent whatever you want. Nobody would even be able to really say anything about it, with you taking the slightest bit of measures, against it. And as we get further and further along, it's going to be more and more locked down, more and more like just things like this, which is going to be for the better in some ways, but it's definitely going to be for the worse, I think, too.
Oh, yeah. Without this is the darkest timeline, and yeah, I understand the guise of helping and policing the area, but honestly, they don't care. Just like Twitch doesn't care about the people that they banned for whatever reason they ban them. They're like, oh yeah, you're banned, and it's like you're back because you make us money. And I mean, Roblox is like the big offender now that's on everyone's topic. I didn't bother bringing this news article up, but just do a quick Google search about people who try to do nasty things, and Roblox. There's a big push campaign because uh, Roblox isn't doing squat, and a lot of other content creators are people who review other channels. They are all on the bandwagon of like, hey, Roblox needs to change their stuff, and they're doing everything wrong.
Yeah.
So whether it be Asmongold or like Penguin Zero, something like that, they've all had their comments recently about how bad Roblox is getting. So, yeah. All right. Well, that seems to be all the news you got for us this week. And yeah, it's if you guys made it to the end, well, we appreciate it. It's a little later on our end. We've had some technical difficulties throughout this episode. So, Nick, good luck with editing that together. We appreciate that.
Yep, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
All right. Well, guys, this has been another Dead Pixel, episode 139. Nick, what are some words of wisdom you have for the people out there?
When you enter one of these ultimate fudge championships, you've really got to make sure that you expand your stomach first. So eat like a bunch of cabbage. There's more extreme methods, but eat a bunch of cabbage, something that's going to expand your stomach way out, and then pass through quickly so that you're ready to just cram fudge into your mouth. And you're not eating the fudge, you're just getting it down. That's what you have to remember.
So while Nick is at the White House for his ultimate fudge championship, I'm just wondering if the music playing in the background is going to be YMCA with maybe certain people doing certain dances. So, all right. I hope you have a good time next 4th of July, Nick, because the fireworks will be big. Until next time, you guys, this is ADP. Take it easy.
Bye.